Welcome to the Heart to Heart with Statton podcast. My name is Statton, and this is my co host Lil, my other co host Alderon, and our favorite co host, our tinfoil hat adventure from Poland, Hergon. Anyways, so today's subject has been requested by Lil. She wants to talk about a subject that's pressing on her mind. So, Lil, would you be willing to kick us off, please?
Yes, sir. So we actually kind of already went through this once already, so we're just gonna go through it again. Hopefully, hyperspeed. Hold on. I see a chat. Okay, thanks, Alderon, for putting that in there. So just to give some kind of context from previous podcasts and for future podcasts, we have an entire schedule of podcasts set up for the rest of the year. I have a Google Docs and everything for it. The reason why I'm saying this now is that because for whoever is listening or for whoever is currently in the podcast, please let us know if you want something talked about. We'll schedule it in and text you or tag you when that subject is going to be talked about. So there's that. Also, today is not today. This month is October Bully Awareness Month, so why not talk about bullying for one of our serious subjects in the month of October? Figured that would be kind of a good deal there. Before we start, I will mention that somewhere we're going to have a link to two different sites, one being Child Prevention, which is I just said it earlier, this Take a Stand Bullying Prevention website. It's the number one website that we have for child prevention and how to go about that. It has information for teachers as well as parents and children on how to prevent bullying. And two, because not just children are being bullied, we got adults too. And whether it be child or children, bullying can lead sometimes to the very harshest conditions of suicide. So we also have suicide prevention website as well being linked for those who, need just the extra bit of help that, not none of us can really help with. So none of us are doctors or psychiatrists, so we are not licensed by any means. Please don't take anything we have to, massive extremes, because we're just here discussing about how bullying affects us, what we think about bullying, whether we have been a bully or bullier, and our thoughts on in general bullying. So hope that kind of wraps it up. Yeah.
Now, before we continue, I would like to show everybody that's watching. I found a way to link my Discord the with the live stream. So not only can you see the highlighted names of the ones who are talking, but if I switch over to here, you'll notice the links that Lil mentioned, which I'll see about posting in the description later on after the stream is done. But here's the visual. If you're able to, just go ahead and make notes of these things here, and I'll post them later on in the description below once everything's done. Now going back to the going back to the actual podcast. There we go. You should be able to see highlighted when Lil talks, when Alderon talks, and when Hergon talks, so on and so forth. So you'll be able to keep track better of who's who. Now
I'm looking at your thing now, Stat. You're just gonna have that as a window on your screen while you're playing.
Yeah,
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
it'll take some getting used to. Hopefully, I can see well enough. But hey, trial and error, mostly error. So,
Why not? I mean, are you just gonna keep it on the Elder Scrolls
Just
screen
a
like
word
that?
of warning.
No, I'm loading.
Sorry, what was that? Again?
What, Hergon?
You're breaking up a little bit bad for me, so if I disappear, it's just unplanned. So
That's understandable. So with that said, I think I'll go last, and since Lil kicked it off, let's start with Alderon. Alderon, what are your thoughts on what we're talking about so far?
We lose him. He's on mute.
Okay.
Oh, there he is.
About bullying. Well,
I do want to touch note on this that I've noticed that nobody else on social media or anything is really touching bases about bullying here. So I'm kind of surprised by that. A little irritated because it's
Mm.
and oof, my mic.
It's all good. We're all here for you.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something we all need to be aware of and actually share and not ignore or anything like that. So I guess I just want to just say it's like what it is. Let's just touch on what bullying really is.
Yeah.
Um, it's an unwanted, aggressive behavior among school-age children that it's involved in a real or perceived power imbalance. But the behavior is repeated and has the potential to be repeated over time. Both kids are bullied, and who are bully others may have serious and long-lasting or short-term lasting problems.
Yeah, that's pretty much sums it up.
Yes.
And it can happen not just children, but it can also happen to adults too. So
Yes.
that's unfortunately, what frustrates me about the first website I mentioned is that it's more focal on children, which by no means is that bad. Like, that definitely needs to be focused on, but adults deal with it too on a constant basis.
Also, what I would like to, Hergon, would you like, before I say my piece, is there anything you would like to add on to this first?
Look, I'm not a very knowledgeable person if it goes for that kind of stuff. I'll just defer to people uh, that have bigger experience to it. So before I start sharing any of my opinion, I'll just listen to people that have bigger, better knowledge than I do at the moment. So I'll just listen for now.
Okay, and let's not forget that Alderaan has a point to his story too.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought, my bad.
He was getting to it, but I interrupted. So go ahead.
I thought when you started speaking, that was, he had reached the point. I
Nope.
apologize, Alderon.
No, you're fine. That's pretty much what it is, just to tell what it is, and then the side
Oh,
note.
to say what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And so I got like and then also like with types of bullying, you got verbal, social, physical. And with verbal, you got teasing, name calling, inappropriate sexual comments, taunting, threatening to cause harm. And then for the social, you got leaving someone out on purpose, telling other children not to be with friends with someone, spreading rumors about someone, embarrassing someone in public. And then for the physical, you got hitting, kicking, punching, spitting, tripping, pushing, taking or breaking someone's things, making mean or rude hand gestures.
Well, that pretty much sums it up.
Yes.
And then it for let's start with the kids. Kids who bully use their power. So this is like an imbalance of power. I even experienced this for my own self. And then I felt also because I used to be both ends. But what I did is when I was a kid, I got tired of being bullied, so I became the bullier to the bullies. And then that really affected a lot of my friendships because I did not control who I directed it to. So it was definitely more of like a power imbalance or imbalance of power. It's like who kids use their power, such as physical strength, access to embarrassing information, or popularity to control or harm others. Power imbalances can be changed over time and in different situations, even they involve the same people.
That's true. Stop, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
Oh,
No, go ahead.
Not to mention, there's also two other categories of bullying I've noticed, especially since I've been on the receiving end of both. When I was younger, there was direct bullying where it's not even hidden, it's not disguised. But then there's narcissistic bullying where you've
Oh,
end up with people who act like they're your friends, but then just tear you down subtly and wear you down till making you believe that if they start treating you like
gaslighting.
garbage and stuff like that, you're left feeling like you did something, you're at fault, and I know almost everybody here in this VC channel has heard the story, but the fact of the matter is, and I've already made two heart to heart podcasts with this, but I had to deal with a narcissist myself, and even now I'm fighting the urge to say the name of so and so. I just nicknamed her Serpent, but because that's what she really is. She's
Well, we'll cover that when we go over like personal experiences. But
that is true. I'm just saying that the point is we do need to cover over the fact that there's narcissistic behavior, bullying, held under the banner of friendship. I say in air quotes,
oh yeah,
and what I'd like to know is everyone's thoughts and opinions as to what's more emotionally damaging in terms of bullying, the first one that was mentioned or the second one.
you can't weigh that though, stat, because everybody's experience is their personal experience to every situation is going to be different. So you can't weigh the trauma against other trauma.
I think
It would.
the physical or direct bullying affects more of the kids. As for adults, I think more of
You lose them.
Alderon? Alderon, I'm not sure if you know this, but we can't hear you. You cut off right at the very beginning of your words.
Okay, how about now?
I can hear you
Yes,
now.
we can hear you.
Okay. So I like with the direct, I feel like it's more towards kids. The direct bullying, it's more affected to them because they're um more physical to the bullying and verbal, but the indirect or narcissistic, I think, is more into for adults. Because I noticed that even too when Stat and I used to work with each other, I seen that narcissistic or indirect bullying towards him before, um, and then it never ever went to the direct bullying. Uh, Maybe a couple times, but those were just kind of like an individual messing with each other. But uh, definitely definitely the difference between the two for direct and indirect.
About a second for me. Keep going.
Uh, that's about it for me. Anybody else wants to go next?
Lil, do you have anything else to add to this?
I'm back. Are we asking Kurgan if he wants anything to say?
Uh,
Well, no, actually, no. I think that's actually pretty. I would say pretty exhausting. If I, well, at least from my perspective, not much to be added. This is like a end all be all definition of it.
Okay. So I guess if that's the case, then we can start talking about personal experiences that we've had, or we can talk about first prevention. So I think personal experience should probably go first, and then how to prevent bullying after that as a kind of a final finish for that. So stat being as you kind of mentioned before, your experiences in general. Do you want to kind of go over that for around
well,
10 minutes or so?
okay, about skipping the parts I already mentioned, which I apologize. I jumped the gun on that. I was just using that as an example for the whole make the point the narcissistic thing, but it's just It's like one of the biggest flaws I had, and it took me forever to overcome the flaw, is the fact that I've had people who act like they're my friends, and then they'd get mad at me for seemingly no reason. And I always felt I never drew on my own. I would never draw on my own that they were the ones at fault for anything. I would always blame myself. What did I do? What can I do to resolve this matter? And there were times I try, and it would come to nothing. And the worst one was the example I brought up with Serpent. Un, it's unfortunate that it had to be that way because I actually did care about this person, but you know, people that are narcissistic, they don't have any empathy for anyone else. They only care about themselves. That's a harsh lesson I've had to learn. And the worst part is, I think the worst part is for most people, me included, when you're in a situation like that, even when you get yourself out of it, is you have to accept one thing that you desire and you'll never have, and that is at least having closure on the matter. Sometimes the hardest thing for people to do when they're in situations like that is to accept things for what they are. Now, it's like, for example, I don't know if you would count me as a vengeful person. Uh, like, uh,
No.
my coworker, she once asked me, "Do you want anything bad to happen to these people that have wronged you? Would you like them to get fired or anything?" I said, "No, I don't want anything bad to happen to them because in my own mind, if it did happen to them, they would come out of it still not believing they were in the wrong or not caring that they were in the wrong for what they did. So what good would that punishment do? To me, the greatest punishment is actually feeling guilty for something because you know you're in the wrong for doing it. I have felt that myself. There are times where I actually have slipped up, did things that I didn't mean to do, and it ended up hurting people, and I felt bad about it. And I just feel like that's to me in my own mind the greatest punishment. But knowing that, having to accept that most people aren't going to feel that way, they're going to they're not. You're going to get people that are going to bully you. There's not going to be any real consequences done to it and to them, and they're never and some of them will grow old and die without feeling guilty about it, and that's just how it is. The sooner we all learn to accept that, the happier we will be, because that's something I've had to learn. And I'm still learning it to this very day. I still have my moments, but I'm still working on it. I'm still working to improve myself on the matter.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's perfect at anything, and we're all learning constantly.
Yeah,
Okay. Does that sum up pretty much what you were going to say about your personal experience?
pretty much.
Okay.
I'll never under. Oh well, actually, I'll just add in this last part if it's okay. The one thing I never understood anyone on are those who dislike people just for the sake of disliking them. Like I've never understood why there are people who say I don't like you just because I don't like you. I don't know you. I don't have any reason to not like you, but I don't. Those people I'll
Hmm.
never understand, and yet I've encountered those people more often than you would think I would have.
Understandable. Alderon, do you have any personal experiences that you want to share, possibly, or whether it be from one side or the other?
I would say,
And before you go on, I will say that nobody here is pressured to talk about things that may not be easy to talk about, whether it be triggering or traumatizing in any way. If you don't feel comfortable in saying anything, that is completely okay. So just my heads up before that goes on.
So no unnecessary high school flashbacks.
If you don't want them, no.
well, the experiences I've been through is definitely going through school, the grade schools from K through 12.
Hmm.
The just the main summary or the nutshell of it would be just because I'm mixed race. They picked on that. And then I was a small guy. Um, and then they figured, they could, oh, this is a small mixed race kid. They can, come at me and be bullies and stuff like that. Uh, but I learned pretty quick to get really aggressive and to stand up against it, um,
Mm-hmm.
which is not a good thing to do, because I've been talked to and gave a verbal or final warning from the principal before he was going to actually take it to like the superintendent and possibly have me be removed from the school because I was actually standing up and being really aggressive to it. And he pretty much said, I understand you're standing up for yourself, but your retaliations is going too far. That's one thing we need to teach our kids, that not to retaliate to a point where they're becoming the bully themselves, or to they're making themselves become out the bad person because it went too far. Um,
Yeah.
but that's where I took it, and it went through all elementary, grade school, junior high, and it went to indirect bullying when I was in high school. Um, but it really got to the point where I hardened myself, shut myself off to a lot of the emotions, and became very, very angry uh, kid through the years, and it pushed away my friends. And now I look at it today, um, it's like I wish I didn't go that far and let it affect my friends, um,
Mm-hmm.
because they're no longer in my life anymore. So, and I see them every once in a while when I go to the same town where they live. We do touch bases. Some of them we don't. Um, it
Sometimes
just,
pictures are so big they can't come back.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's one I've actually ran into, and because he became a what do you want to call it, a trainer for the gym, and he was doing really well. So I decided to touch bases with him and talk about it, and he had a positive return. Like he didn't really wasn't really bothered. He was technically one of my bullies, and I was kind of one of his bullies in a sort of way. It was like vice versa. We were
Mm-hmm.
always challenging each other, and I guess in an indirect way, who was better. Um, like I remember when we first went to the next school because we were moving up from elementary to junior high. We clicked real good. We were close friends, and then when we saw each other in the actual, junior high grade when it officially started, we were just opposite ends. I was like, okay, what happened here? Um, but he was kind of like my motive to better myself, but also harden myself. Uh, but it was in getting revenge. I've never wanted to get revenge, but I always learned karma always came around the corner, and I always made sure I was on karma's good terms if anybody believes in that.
Yeah.
And then seeing his karma get to him because he mouthed off to another kid and he got hit in the face. I felt that was pretty empowering, and I enjoyed it. But that's not right to admit. Um, but it's the truth, and I shouldn't have felt that way. But sure enough, it felt good just to see that happen because I wanted to do it. But I learned from my being told, hey, you get any more conflicts, you're done. Um,
Yeah.
and that's just pretty much what it was, And then in high school, it was more of indirect, narcissistic behaviors. The 4 years of the high school was like the worst 4 years I ever been into. It's just I did not enjoy school at all for that. Um, Elementary and junior high, it had its really good perks, but I didn't really understand how I was being through those years of. I didn't see the perspective until I really seen it now, or where someone has spoke about me, not realizing I'm standing there, and they forgot about me, and they gave their opinions, and the person who was there with them just kind of looked at him like, "Hey, he's right here," and they're
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Well, it's too late, and I think about it when that happened is, was I really that type of a person? I wish I can really go back and really kind of fix that. But these had their reasons, and it was fated, and there's nothing I could really change about it. It's kind of part of life where we all grown apart. Uh, I was kind of stuck with them and made it through and seen the years change, but I guess it was deemed for me to move away and go different ways and learn what I need to do and grow as a person who I needed to be. Uh,
Well, I like
it's
who you are now.
Same.
it
And
took a
you're
lot to get me here, and I'm still learning.
and you're not gonna get rid of me, Outeron. I'll still be your friend even when we're sharing a room on your honeymoon.
Oh boy. You'll just be like a stump or a leg at some point. He's like, I'm still your friend.
um, so that's
Aragon, is
pretty
there
much
anything? Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
that's just pretty much what it was directly. It's just the physical size, which is it's all power or the imbalance of power. That's all what it was.
Yeah.
Popularity, which was never really a big deal. The popularity for the group of kids we were really with. Um, but I was pretty much a nobody. I could fit in anybody's clique, if you want to say. Um,
You're a jack of all trades.
yeah, but
Mm.
then also since I was a nobody, they could just cover me up and just act like I was non-existent, and because I was just one of those people that was like, oh, he's here, no importance of this kid. Um,
That's just sad.
yeah, and there'd be like times where they would walk in front of me. I'll be in their little group, then a couple kids would be just walk in front of me and stand in front of me, and I'm no longer in that circle of group we were just in. So I would just turn away and walk away. It's just no one. There's been a couple times a couple have noticed, but no one said anything. They didn't care. I think there was only one time like, hey, he's right behind you. Why you being mean like that? Oh. Okay, sure you didn't notice. But that's most of the time it wasn't like that. It was just kind of like this wasn't really important. Um, and then race, that was my part of not reveal. I shouldn't have revealed my race or anything like that. Just should have been just that's I am who this person is, and but I got on a little proud trip of saying I'm this race and I'm happy about it and blah blah blah, and just
We
shouldn't have
all
done
look the
that.
same on the inside. I don't see
Yeah.
why color of skin or race matters at all.
Yeah, and that opens up to the race bullying and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's harsh.
And that's what I had to deal with. But I just kind of ignored it, and it didn't really hurt me or anything like that. But it was more the physical attributes or features of my body, that really bothered me when they would pick on and stuff like that. And it was just like, okay, I'll get real violent, and sure enough, consequences, showed up, and I had to face it, and I still face them today, mentally. So that's pretty much what I had to deal with experience for myself. Anybody who would like to go next? Ergon?
Yeah, Hergon, if you don't mind, I'll go last on this one. So if you have any experiences that you want to talk about or that you may have seen, even, it doesn't even have to be a personal experience. It could be something that you've known about or family member, friend, whatever. Something you've seen online. It could be anything.
Honestly, it's I've seen some stuff in my high school years. Or at least let's just say that there was a group of people that were picking up on a mentally challenged kid, and it was weird to watch. I tried to intervene a couple of times, but well, I can't be there every time, and some other people also try to help him. But apparently, for some reason, well, I'm not an expert nor a doctor in the matter, but the kid seemed to be kind of unfazed by all of this, like he wasn't aware of what's going on. And after a short while, the entire bully group just left him alone. They found nothing to amuse him, so they just went on to look for somebody else.
Sometimes they fizzle out like that if you give no reaction, because the reaction is what they feed off of. Was that basically your experience, Harrigan? I'm just making sure I don't
That's
interrupt.
like I haven't had that many of those.
No, it's okay. Like, I mean, it wasn't more like, oh, you should have this grand story to tell. It was just more like what your experiences were.
Well, to be honest,
than
look, it's for the most part, it's if you were bullied or just being picked on it. I remember I was my local high school. It was a little bit different, so unless it was some actual injuries that you could, you know, uh, then these teachers would step in or stuff like that, or parents. But usually that was like it was like 15 to 18 school. So technically speaking, if anybody had a problem with anybody, excuse me, there was a park nearby, and it was settled between the two individuals without the prying eyes of the, you know.
Old school, huh?
Yeah.
I want to take you out back, all right?
Well, look, it's basically at some point, even no matter who else lost, was if you were willing to fight, it was shown that okay, fuck it, he lost, let's just leave him alone. He's not a pushover. Maybe he didn't win, but yeah, he's kind of cool, so let's give him a pass.
Okay. Well, I mean, all accounts so far are good accounts, and they very much cover what is considered bullying. You know, everything from narcissistic to physical to non-physical to indirect. I mean, I think the only thing that we really haven't mentioned thus far is probably cyberbullying, which is just as heinous as the rest of them. My personal experiences, I mean, I got a plethora. I got so many. You know, from watching to my own children to myself. And I'll try to kind of glaze over them as quickly as possible so we don't get lost in the moment here. But you know, when it comes to like adult bullying, it's very much like what everyone has been saying. It's very indirect. I mean, I recently experienced a situation while I was at work where I'm a nice person. You know, I know I have my hard moments, so to speak. But all in all, like in a public setting, I'm very nice. I'm very, I'm the life of the party, as I like to say. That's not me trying to be like full of myself. That's just me. I like to bring smiles everywhere I go. And if people are smiling, then they're happy, is the way I see it. You know, like bring in laughter, and everything else is just kind of kosher after that. But despite my happy demeanor, I was being trained by somebody that gave me no indication that she didn't like me. And she was training me for this position that I was working for. And then she got sick. And when she came back, she had asked me what had happened. And while she was gone, I flourished. Like, I knew what the job I was doing. Her training me was just kind of like the icing on top of what I already knew about this job. And so when she was gone, I had to take up the mantle of her position. And I did it well. Like, everyone complimented me. Everyone said I was doing great, for the short time I was there. So when she came back and had asked me what had happened, I recounted all of it and I praised myself, rightfully so. Always find the opportunity to boost yourself up. That's my philosophy. If you did something right and that's right, tell yourself you did that right. There's nothing wrong with boosting your self-esteem. But she saw it as me shoving it in her face. by boosting myself. She said that I wasn't being humble. And we're at the time in front of me, because I guess she doesn't deal well with confrontation. She just kind of scoffed and was upset that management had praised me, whereas they haven't her in a while. And basically, I guess in a narcissistic way, was all like, "Well, you can just handle it. You can handle my position. You've handled it thus far. So far, I'll just go home." And she left. She went home early that day. She wasn't feeling it. I understood that. So off and on for a few days, she kind of come in and then flip in and decided to go home again, and or I would come in and she just scowl at me. It was very toxic. And then eventually she decided to yell at me in front of the director and the supervisor, and me in front of them. She started screaming at me about how I was shoving it in her face, how I was being rude, how I was talking myself up, a bunch of other stuff, and I was taking her job. They had to calm her down, and eventually I was taken out of the position just so that I wasn't in her way anymore. You know, and she still causes issues to this day. Like I think she has a lot of insecurities, so that's probably what caused the issues. I mean, there's been experiences with my own children where, they've been bullied. Like my daughter, she's had a really rough time in not high school, but she's in elementary school, where she's been bullied just because she's a very passionate, like myself, very passionate and happy-go-lucky girl, and kids will see that as, oh, I'm gonna try to squash that, so they'll deliberately bully my child, on purpose, because they just can't handle good positive things or something. I don't know. And in my other half, he's throughout high school he was bullied for being small. He's not a very big guy. He's a very small person. And even in high school he wasn't very big, and he was bullied a lot for being the smaller of, the masculine stature. So, like, there's so many accounts that I can say about bullying, and when it comes all down to it, bottom line, bullying, and I've been on either spectrum, by the way. I've been the bully and I've been the bullier. I've, like Alderon, I've been pushed so hard that I decided to fight back, and I fought back too hard. And not even like physically, like I'm talking because the girl way of bullying, which is very narcissistic. um, so I've done both, and either way, it's not a good feeling. It's a horrible feeling. It stays with you for all time, whether it be you, the victim, or you, the aggressor, and it's not a good solution. Bullying is not the solution for anything. Sorry. This is a very heavy subject.
No, I get it. This is touching on some very emotionally painful things for all of us.
Well, I mean, do we all want to say a joke real quick just to kind of like relieve the tension? So anybody
As
gonna
long as it's not about punching orphans.
punching what, orphans? Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
No, let's not talk about punching orphans. Let's look up a joke of the day. Hold on. Hear my click-a-clackety joke of the day. Let's go.
Yes.
See what comes up first. No, I don't want a video. Ugh. Watch Kayla go through all this problem. Okay, hold on. Joke of the day. Let's go. Why did the cell phone get glasses?
I
I don't know why.
Because she lost all her contacts.
I
I'll do this. Oh, wait. Hold on. I missed an opportunity. Wait. There we go.
I'm starting to realize I sound like one of the hecklers from the Muppets.
A little bit. Anybody else got jokes before we move forward?
I'm thinking.
You're thinking.
Yeah, that's the joke. I'm thinking. I never do.
Oh, got it. So do you need to call the fire department?
Huh?
Okay. So I guess the next part of this is to talk about how to stop bullying, or at least helpful tips, right? I'll just go forward because I got a whole thing list up here that everybody else can kind of enter their tips if they want to. I mean, oh, actually, question: do we want to enter our own suggestion of tips? Does anybody else have suggestions, or did you kind of already talk about that in your self experience?
Well, I'm gonna just sit back and let hear everybody else's suggestions, and if I also may, during this time, if any viewers are listening to this and they would like to join and put in their thoughts and experiences and ideas, I leave a link to the Discord server in the description of all my videos. So all you gotta do is have Discord on your phone or on your computer, join the server, and then step in into the podcast channel. I got it set to where only one person can enter at a time. So if we don't get to you, that's understandable, and if no one joins, that's also okay.
Yeah, I also a while back in the live chat for the YouTube video, I did put in that it was me. Is there any experience that you as the viewers want mentioned? And no one's responded yet, but that's okay too. Like I mentioned earlier, no one has to actually say anything about their experiences. We don't have to drug up old trauma just for content viewage. So that's
Right.
not the
I
whole goal here.
right. I just try to give the viewers a voice too, and I
Yeah,
appreciate
no,
what
no,
you
I
did.
yeah, no problem. I'm here with you, man. We a team. Okay. Alderon or Hergon, do you have anything that you want to, like, do you want me to just kind of go on my tangent here, or do you guys have, like, steps or preventative, whatchamacallit, that you want to talk about? Because we can go in a turn-based system, or I can just yabber. It's up to you.
I would say just
Go ahead,
once
bud.
the proverbial camera is on, just let her go and see what she
Dude,
does.
he just wants me to yabber. Stat, you hear that? He wants me to just go.
Well,
Does he
there-
not know I'm a Gemini? I just talk and talk. And I'm sorry. Go
Well,
ahead.
there is one thing we got to address too, because I think this would affect the solutions we'd come up with. I know.
Okay,
Now
so
we're
you want
not
me to
gonna
go-
shoot people.
I know. No.
Hey, that's
that's-
actually careful there.
Yeah. Let's not talk like that here.
No, the reason.
But-
Okay, I have to clarify. The reason why I say careful there is because, when it comes, especially with October being Bullying Awareness Month,
Yeah.
that particular subject, especially when it comes to mostly kids, is very sensitive here in the States because of how often we're dealing with it.
Not just that, but it's also the fact that we're live streaming too. But
Yeah, that too. So we gotta censor some things.
But the fact of the matter is, the thing that we got to talk about also is the messed up system that we got going, especially in the school system. It's even as sickening as it is, because this, I know people say that, use this meme as humor, but to me it makes me mad, and that is how, and Alderon actually touched on this. I mean, I don't know if this is where he was going, because he didn't revolve.
Are you talking about where they basically told him, like, if he keeps going, he'll be expelled? Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah, like how teachers and everything will let bullies be the bullies, but as soon as you stand up for yourself and it becomes two-sided, then it's wrong. Then they step in, and either one of two things. Either no one gets in trouble, or they both get in trouble, but hardly ever anymore is it where the bully just gets in trouble.
Okay, yeah. And on that subject, because you're right, before we go into preventative bullying,
Can I ask for a small favor?
yes, go ahead.
Could you just synopsis what he just said? Because I just messaged you on the private. I literally heard almost nothing from it because I got connection issues, and all I heard was a Megatron noise, and then it came clear. It's like either nobody or everybody gets in trouble. That's all I heard.
So basically, I'll sum up what he said with what I got going on. So basically, what he was talking about that touches on what Alderon had experienced is that what's not being addressed in schools is how bullying is being handled. And maybe here's the thing: you got to think of it this way. Maybe they're trying to handle it the best they can. I'm not saying it's right, but they have to be careful with how they handle it because bullying is such a sensitive thing when it comes to children. There's not a lot they can do. It sucks from a parent perspective and a child perspective, But I mean, really, if you look at it in a wide perspective, there's not like there's not a lot they can do. There really isn't, because you have to be completely biased and completely fair, and it's hard to be fair when there's two entities involved, and sometimes you don't even really know the full story of either side. Like so they have to kind of
No,
take a
no,
step
no
back, and
telling
it
how the
sucks.
back and forth went down.
There may be
Well,
truth.
Yeah,
There may be truth to that, but when you see one person getting bullied and the other one's not standing up for themselves, it doesn't take a genius to put a simple two and two together to realize who's the
no,
right
and I
and the
agree
wrong,
with you.
and to
I'm
sit
just saying
back
from
and
like
do
a general
nothing.
basis.
And to sit
I'm
back
just
and
saying
do
from a general
nothing.
basis.
Oh, I know that. I'm just saying, but to sit back and do nothing until both get aggressive. I mean,
Yeah.
really, what kind of a messed up system is that? Let's just call it for what it is. Let's call a spade here. And this is this whole thing is.
It is
I mean,
because for my daughter's experience, when she was being bullied in the last school before I moved, it got bad. Remember, Sad, I was telling you, it got bad.
yes, I
Um,
remember.
she she was a first grader, and there was this 10-year-old, I guess, added to her classroom. Not all the time. Mind you, she's 6 going on 7, in her first grade class and all that. And this 10-year-old was being added to, a group of 6-year-olds or 7-year-olds. I mean, granted, that's only a few years older, but that's for children. There's like certain mile points, and a 10-year-old has a bit more of a grasp on how things work in the world than maybe a 7-year-old would. A normal 10-year-old, that is. Um, anyway, that being said, this 10-year-old was maybe in the class one or two times throughout the school day. I don't know what his deal was. I asked the teacher, but because of HIPAA regulations, she couldn't tell me as to why he was in and out of the classroom. I assumed it was like a held back reason, or something. Like I didn't fully get that information. Not my problem. Whatever. Point is that this kid, while he was in class, would throw things. He would name call the teacher and other children, deliberately bully everyone. He was a complete and utter menace in the classroom. And during recess, my daughter, she's very much, she wants to make friends, but she also has this like weird obsession with people who are mean to her, and she still wants to make friends with them. I don't know if that's like she loves the drama or she just wants to fix the problem. I'm not sure what the deal is. She has a very aggressive father, so maybe there's a connection there that I don't know about yet. I don't know. But what happened in the playground is that she was being kicked. She got pushed. She got choked at one point by this child. She got tripped. I mean, she'd come home crying because, you know, she's being bullied by this kid. And, the teachers, they would call me up and be like, hey, this incident happened with your daughter. We have it on camera. And their solution was, like, the first time it was, we'll talk to their guardians and have him write a letter to your daughter apologizing. Which to me, like, I'm a very upset parent. I'm like, that doesn't solve anything. But fine, I'll let you have it. And then it kept happening. And then it's like, oh, we're still discussing, we're discussing healthier measures. We're keeping them apart. We're doing all these things. And, like, it just kept escalating. And it got to the point where, I got, like, 4 letters from this kid saying he was sorry, which is BS because I doubt this kid understood anything that was happening.
Plus,
So
you probably
eventually,
could have recognized the parents' handwriting.
no, it was definitely child's. Definitely the child's handwriting. I can definitely tell that.
Mm.
Um, but you can tell a child what to write, and they may not comprehend it. I mean, you can feed that information, and he may not comprehend it. And I don't know. I don't know if that was the case. I don't know if his guardians, because they only said guardians, never said parents. I don't know if that meant something, or if that are just, HIPAA regulation. They can't reveal that. Whatever. Regardless, I basically told the principal of the school, like, either you fix this, or I'm pulling my child from school. Which are like, we don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want you to pull your child from school. We'll figure this out. Blah blah blah. And it eventually just came down to, like, I just moved. I moved away because it wasn't getting fixed. It wasn't, and that was on them. They should have done better, in my opinion. I don't know how they should have done better. Maybe completely take the child from the classroom and maybe stick him in another classroom, or maybe, find a way to give him education elsewhere, like in a more secluded, supervised way. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of things they could have done, but what they did was not the way they handle it. So I feel like that's. talking about with the broken system stat, if I'm correct.
Yeah, but then
Understood.
again, may I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're still on one end that would help your situation, but then again, remember, if they would actually, if the school, would, for example, relocate the student elsewhere, somebody else is stuck with the same problem.
No, that's true.
So
It's possible. That's why I said alternatively, maybe like stick them in a supervised location with,
yeah,
the head supervisors.
yeah, this
Um, I'm
problem.
surprised expulsion was not an option here, considering the situation.
Maybe there was a history of some. Maybe this wasn't the first time this was reported. That's why.
It's true.
But then again, look, the way I see it is, I think it all could have boiled down. The problem could have been boiling down to the fact that, well, the hint was that they were kept saying legal guardians instead of parents. That could have
Like I
said,
said, it could have been a HIPAA thing. Because
and
lately nowadays you just can't reveal parents anymore without their permission. So it might be just a HIPAA regulation thing, where they can't voice
it
that
could be what
information.
I said, but it could be just preferred preferred speech.
Yeah, no, I
Uh,
understand.
but there's also the problem where school, well, people expect, the way I see this, like, I'm not making excuses, but the way I see this, at least this side, let me be the school's the devil's advocate, right? Remember, the school has a limited number of staff. The school has a limited number of means and methods and all that regulation, yada yada, right? Thing is, if the problem isn't addressed locally, as in home, parents, guardians, what have you, the people with the biggest influence on the kid, the biggest, theoretically at least, the biggest, uh, God, I forgot the word, the biggest power in it, in any case, if they're not addressing it, uh, the school can do only so little. I mean, think about it. The kid goes to school from this hour to this hour, and the teacher's outnumbered like 50 to 1 or more, right? And he can't keep an eye on everybody, literally everybody, and there's less of them there. And for the rest of the hour, the kid is at home or elsewhere, where his parents should at least somewhat try to, hey, what's going on? Why we've got a call from school? What's going on, right? At least something, right? Some cooperation with the school.
No, and
And
that's exactly why I pointed out that before I went on that triad is that most schools do the best that they can and can only get involved so much because there are so many factors, so many legalities. There's not a lot they can do. And yeah, staffing is a big issue right there. And you know, a lot of this comes down to that it has to come down to the parents. And sometimes parents are, are just not that involved in what their child does in school. They literally just send their kid off to school and that's that. That's it. There's no involvement. Um and that may cause the problem. I mean, nothing against those parents by no means. Um, Nothing against any parents. I'm not calling out anyone other than the fact that this is this system, not system, this situation that we have in life where bullies are so apparent. It sucks. It sucks for all parties. It sucks for children. It sucks for adults. It sucks for anyone. Um, and it's not always blamed on one entity. There's so many factors in life that causes bullying, that causes strife, that causes. I think that's what barrels into our preventative measures that we'll be talking about here soon before we run off the mantle here too much. But I apologize if I interrupted too much here, Ergon. So go ahead. Did I lose you?
me,
Ergon?
no,
Okay.
no, 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 I'm still here.
All right. Well, I mean, so do you want me to just go ahead and talk about preventative
Honestly, I'm
measures
kind of
then?
curious about this because, well, I have a niece, some age,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
it could be useful information. So I'm willing to very much listen. So I'll
So
share.
I'm just kind of going off. you can Google this stuff all the time, and I'm just kind of going off Google in my own personal experience, so I'll kind of combine the two, right? So, first off, I mean, what you'll want to try to do, it says, let's see, um, best thing to do is walk away. No, first off, try to walk away. You know, and if you feel that you're being bullied, you recognize being bullied. Okay, sorry. First off, should not be walk away. Let me take that back. First off, you should voice your boundaries. Voice your boundaries. So, if you realize that you're being bullied, if you feel uncomfortable in a situation, voice it. Say, "Hey, I don't like that. That's not okay." Or please don't touch me there. Or, just I don't like what you're doing. This makes me uncomfortable. Voice it. And use I statements. That's what's really important here. Don't say, "Hey, you're being mean to me." That's very accusatory, right? That escalates the situation. So you need to be like, "Hey, I feel that you're being mean. I feel that you're being unfair. I feel that, you're trying to get something out of this. I want you to stop. Like I feel uncomfortable," right? So the first thing you want to say is try to voice it. Now, keep in mind before I go forward, not all of this is foolproof. Not all of this will work. You'll have to find your own way, either way. And it's always good to always tell somebody else, create a buddy system, let somebody know, confidant, higher up, whatever the case may be, teacher, parent, let them know, "Hey, this person is acting this way. How do I handle it?" If that doesn't work, then it's the walk away. Like if they start bullying, walk away from the situation. Kind of like that kid you were talking about, Hergon. He, for a while there, he was, or they, I don't know if you said a gender, I'm sorry. They didn't react. And that's what feeds most bullies on a general basis is reaction. Sometimes it doesn't stop there. Sometimes they just want to be cruel just to be cruel. Then that kind of barrels into if they keep going, if the walking away is, be indifferent, act like you're bored, act like you can't hear them, just don't give a reaction. This is where I don't understand, like, some of the steps come to this, and I don't really feel like this really helps. So, some of them say come up with a funny comeback. I feel like that could barrel into a bad situation. To joke about the situation, I feel like that would be bad, because what if they view what you're doing as insulting and it just escalates what they're doing? I mean, whatever you feel comfortable with, maybe that will work for you, maybe not. I don't know. Let's see. I feel like if it escalates any further from there, that's when you either have to take yourself out of the situation completely, or you have to go to higher. I mean, like, I think it goes back to the going to the higher ups thing. Bottom line, I think what the point is that you never try to let it affect you too much. Understand that whatever this bully is doing, like for my example, with my coworker, I don't know why she acted the way she did. And in regards to my daughter, I don't know why that kid acted the way he did towards my daughter. There could be situations at home that is causing them to act this way. And I need to recognize that. I need to recognize that whatever's going on in their life that causes them to attack me may be bad enough or worse than what I'm currently dealing with. And they may just be latching onto me because they find me an easy target. And find my daughter an easy target, or find Stat as an easy target, or Alderon, or Hergon, whatever the case may be. So you need to realize that there might be outside external circumstances that are happening that are causing them to act this way, and you need to recognize that, and you need to be aware that maybe this isn't about you fully, So if that helps you get over whatever's happening, then utilize that, I don't really have a solution. Sometimes, if it gets too far, sometimes it usually solves itself out, like it did with Hergon. The other side of this is that if you see bullying, try to intervene as much as possible, or not, be like, "Hey, like, I see you bullying this person. Why? Don't do that. That's mean, Be nicer." And sometimes that will completely take the situation away, Or, support those who are being bullied, or report it to other higher means. The number one thing here is don't try to be the bully. Don't don't be the person that is the aggressor, because that doesn't help anybody. I think that's pretty much. Hold on, let me just go over everything else. I think that pretty much covers it. Yeah,
With that
when it comes
said,
to preventative.
I think we're going a little over, but
Yeah, that's what I was worried about.
with that said, just three things really quick. One, to get this out of the way, I'm not disagreeing with you, Lil, though it may sound like I am. But there is one other thing to consider. I like the fact that you kept using the keyword maybe when it says maybe they've got something going on with their life,
Yeah.
because this isn't just a child thing, as we've already established. This is both a child and adult thing, and it's like, for example, when people go to court for some of the serious stuff that would give them prison time and sometimes even prison life, they always try to plead insanity and everything. And there's this judge I heard on TV. I forget her name, but she said something that I agree with. No,
Okay.
this was an interview. This wasn't a court show.
Oh, okay.
Judge Judy.
Sorry.
But she said something I really agree with. She says the problem with today's world is we're always trying to look for a deeper meaning behind people's bad actions and bad choices, whether if it's insanity or tough childhood and everything. Sometimes you just got to wake up and realize sometimes there are people that are evil just because they're evil. It sucks.
You made a point about that too, about how snake or serpent or however I forgot. Don't care.
Either
I don't
or,
care about
she's
that person,
both.
not you. Yeah, either way. And, like, for no reason, apparent reason, or I think it was either that or somebody else. Like, for no apparent reason, they were just being cruel, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it is simple as that. Like, for no apparent, like, and how you don't understand it, right? And I was going to give you some insight on that, so I'm glad you brought it up again. Sometimes, it's literally instinctual, if not like intrusive thought status, when you may look at somebody and you like better worse word for it, like you feel like that bile sensation come up, and you just simply may not like it. There be no reason why. They've done nothing wrong to you. You know, it's just like an instinctual. Like sometimes I have an instinctual feeling about people where I'm just like, I don't fucking like you, and I don't know why I don't like you, but I don't fucking like you. Now my thing is that I don't act on that I don't like you. I just don't pay any attention to them. I just don't allow them to be in my life. But those who act on they don't like you just for no freaking reason, you're right. That. What's the point in that?
Mind if I ask a rather inappropriate question about that instinct?
Yeah.
How many of those people that you had a hunch that you're not gonna like them? How many of them were gingers?
None.
So, anyways, now that we got that done and over with, I think now it's time for me to slide in the advertisements. Also,
Yeah, go ahead.
Alderon, while I pull up the advertisements, I do apologize. It seems like you've been quiet mostly today, so I'm sorry if we haven't given you much of a chance to talk today.
No, you're fine. I was just listening and making sure I'm keeping up with everybody because
Sorry, Alderon.
no, it's just sometimes I get into deep thought about the subject here, and I kind of get into what's played in the past, and I end up missing what you guys said. Like at the beginning, I was kind of really in deep thought about the bullying and what I went through, and then you guys threw me a loop, threw me a curveball, and had me start out. I was like, whoa, hold on
I'm
here.
sorry. Like I said, I mean, I'm really sorry if
that
the
was my
subject in
fault. I
general
got
is bringing up trauma.
distracted. So, nope. Everybody's hit their point. So that if you want to
Go ahead, Stat, with the advertisements then.
Okay. I feel bad because the one I'm supposed to advertise. Oh wait, I could just look it up on my Discord server. Why not? It should be in the guest room.
That's cheating.
You know something? You're cheating.
Who told
You
you
know
that?
what? That's bullying. I'm joking.
You're bullying.
Whoever told him that snitches get stitches, I'll find you.
Oh dear.
Okay, here it is. This channel or this podcast is brought to you by Liz Blaze Hart from Twitch. That's my niece. She has been live streaming video games. So, in fact, you know what? Why I can just pull it up here. Why not? I'll show you guys the link to it really quick. Let's see here. Scrolling up, 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 up. Here it is. Liz Blaze Heart Twitch. Check her out and follow her on Twitch. She plays games like Super Smash Brothers and all that. She has a Switch and does other games like I think she does Resident Evil and even Fallout every now and then. And this is also brought to you by Alderon's gaming channel too. He's been doing Silent Hill for Halloween, so check that out. I actually enjoy his videos, and plus, Lil says she's beginning to do some gaming channel.
I got stuff. I got stuff going on in the background for sure. I just
Yes.
haven't posted anything up yet.
Care
And
to give us think about what?
Oh, I'm gonna be starting my YouTube channel in soon. It's still pending at the moment.
Okay.
and
Sorry.
the two final advertisements is Beauty Gamers gaming channel. Check her out too, and the final part is I have a Venmo account which I have in the link and a link to it in the description of all videos for optional donations. Donations are not required, but they are appreciated. So with that said, is there anything else we need to cover over before we close off the
Yeah,
podcast?
does anybody- I'll have a closing statement, but does anybody else have anything to say? It's like, yeah, that's a good question.
My only closing statement is bullying's bad. Don't do it, kids. And if you're an adult and you're bullying, grow up, act your age, and stop bullying. You're way too
No.
old to be acting like that.
I agree.
Here, here.
Yeah, I actually just had a well, it's not a realization per se. I was just thinking about it once you said that. It's like, everybody complains about bullying. Very few people talk about it, which is all this that what you're doing is that much important and appreciated. But have you noticed how little people actually think about it to the point that would be willing to give proposals of what could we possibly do?
That's what the websites are for. Is that in hopes that, I mean, my daughter's school right now, her current one, the new one that she's not being bullied in, what they're doing, yeah, I have to make that point. What they're doing in school right now is they brought home paperwork and they're acting out scenarios in school about like what to do to prevent it. So they're teaching it young, which is really nice. But they brought home a piece of paper that had the parents and the child go over scenarios, and we asked the child, is this bullying? Is this, I forgot what the questionnaire was. I wish I would have kept the paper. But basically, you had like 4 or 5 questions to ask, indicating whether or not it was bullying or not, and the child would have to answer based on the scenario. So, like, let's say you say the scenario, you ask the child, is this, was this hurtful? They say yes or no. Was this, on purpose? Did it keep happening? Did it stop? And
So the perception check.
yeah, it was basically a perception check. And if they answered because they had the parents would see the correct answers for each scenario, and based on what their child would say, they can base whether or not their child could recognize bullying. And for the most part, what I saw when I did it with my own child, she did recognize what a bullying was and knew how to, report it. So I will say it seems like they are doing things to prevent it. And there is this is why we made this podcast, is so that in the moment that this is Bullying Awareness Month, this is what we're doing. This is our way of trying to prevent it by making it aware, by making it known, and by showing ways that it can be handled. So I feel like, we are doing that. It is being talked about in a way.
And also would be nice to actually give an appeal to parents, even if you don't think your kid might be bullied, just double check.
Oh
just
yeah.
double
I mean,
checking can go a
well,
long
the
way.
cool thing about I will say, as a parent, the cool things that is happening nowadays that is very helpful. I don't know how every school is doing, but I know the last two schools, and this is from two different areas, from at least like an hour away location, right?
Mhm.
There is an app now that connects parents and teachers together in constant communication basis. So the cool thing about this is that I not only get to see daily events that happen, I see future events that will happen. There's a calendar. I'm able to communicate with their teachers. Their teachers are able to send me pictures of my children. The teachers are able to tell me what is going on with my child currently in the day. I can ask them at any point in time what is happening with my child. Hey, is my daughter doing this? Is this happening in school? She'll tell me if they are. Stuff like that is very, if you're, allow yourself to be that involved with your children, and it doesn't have to be through an app. You can call them, you can be there, you can go to conferences, you can go to their open houses. There's a way to be involved with your children so that you are aware whether or not they're being bullied without fully indirectly asking them, because sometimes when you ask your child, hey, are you being bullied, they're not always going to fess up and say if they are or they're not, because they're afraid to get in
Yeah.
trouble or afraid to oust the person and get even more in trouble.
Not
So
to mention the
sometimes you have to do
perception
a step
check you
further.
mentioned could be an issue. It
What?
could, not to mention the perception thing could be an issue as the stuff
Yeah,
we've been talking about. But basically, the kid can be bullied, but he cannot perceive it as such.
exactly.
And the other thing is what I'm about to is this is I know this isn't a popular thing, but I believe it to be the truth. I think some of these things that they try to do at schools and stuff to prevent it is heavily flawed. Like, pretty much, if you want me to sum it up and sugarcoat it, they'll be like, bullying, it isn't very nice. You're hurting their feelings. You don't want to hurt their feelings, do you? Yeah, they do. That's why they're bullying. I mean, they're not doing it to make the other person feel good. So that kind of.
I see your point, Stat, but
So it's like
it's
you.
not for those people though. It's for those who don't have a voice yet. That's what it's for. They
I
realize that it may not help the situation, but it's for those people. It's to give that one person the inspiration to speak up.
while
Not to mention,
I do
people
under
don't want to say that Statton said. Sorry to get in your word. Basically, bullying is done for a reason. As you said, it's bullying, not farting in an elevator by oopsie.
I'm just saying that to me, you really want to put a stop to it. You gotta give consequences to the bullies. It's like, okay, you either knock this crap off or it's five across the eyes. I'm sorry.
You
Five
still
across
have.
the what?
Well, okay, maybe that's going too far, but let's just say, as someone who wants to be a parent someday, I'm not opposed to spanking. I don't think it's abusive at all, even though there are some out there that believe it is. I believe there.
I
I
spank my children.
I wasn't talking about you.
I'm just saying, I do.
I'm just saying that I'm just saying that there are. I can't tell you how many videos I've seen where people try this soft parenting bull crap, and it's like,
Honestly, go on. Sorry.
and they try to touch on the aggressor's feelings and everything. It's like, no, don't do that. You either knock this crap off or there's going to be consequences. You will be punished. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. No more, because obviously this guilting method doesn't work. I mean, obviously they're not trying to bully people so to put a smile on their face. They're obviously wanting them to feel bad. So while I do understand, oh, it's to give these people a voice, though. Yeah, but it's not doing anything. So, yep.
So, Stat, hold on. I get where you're going. I get where you're going.
Breathe, Statton, breathe.
Here's what I want you to focus on, because I know you want children in your future, right? I want you to focus on your children only, right? Because that's all you can do. You can't worry about what everybody else has thought or what's happening in schools. Like, the only thing you can really, because like there's not a lot you can do other than maybe pull your kid fully from school, because there's so many factors that are happening. There's so many things that are going on. You can't just be like, this isn't right, be a protester. You can't. I mean,
I think you missed the point of the podcast. This is to stir people's minds up. This is to get them
I
thinking.
know. Hold on. Chill out. I'm getting there.
Fight, fight.
But what I'm saying is that when you become a parent, because I know you will, You just need to really mostly focus on like situations. So we opened up an opportunity to for this to be a discussion, right? And that's the best that we can do. We're no different than the school trying to, and whether it may be they may not be doing it the right way, but they have rules and stipulations that they have to abide by. But we're no different than the school presenting a assembly like action and showing a video on how to prevent bullying and what to recognize bullying, right? We're no different than that right now in this podcast. But you as a parent, the only thing that you can do for your child is be aware of said assembly, be aware of said preventions, and just teach them to your child and be there when they want to have a voice. That's all you can do.
The key difference is ours is not child friendly. They try to do the whole, like I said, don't do it, it's bad, you're hurting their feelings. Me, I'm saying grow up, act your age. The fact that you're bullying people's pathetic. Be ashamed.
Honestly, I just reminded myself something. I have heard about I'm not sure how I came across this, but I heard that one set of consequences. I think it was an American parent. I think I heard the parent actually just went nuclear with repercussions for bullying for his teenage. I think it was son, I believe, and it was they found out the kid was bullying his school colleague or some such, and they said, you know what? No, we're not gonna have that, and I warned you there are gonna be some consequences, and he did it again. And the father, when the kid came back, the father sold all of his electronics, his Nintendos, and all of that stuff. And he said, if you want to have a car in the future, you're gonna have to work for it.
I mean,
As a
yeah.
gamer, when you said when I heard sold all of his, I'm like, oof.
Here's the thing. That's where it comes. They're also teaching this in schools. That's where it comes down to privilege. If you're entitling your child too much, if you're giving them too much entitlement, like letting them have whatever they want at home, despite whatever they're doing at school, then yeah, they're gonna have this power trip, like Alderon mentioned. They have this power of play. They feel like they have this entitlement, and so they're gonna act out. So if you start taking those away, and I know there's gamers out there that are like, oh my god, you shouldn't take away just all of their consoles, you shouldn't break their system, you shouldn't do that, that just causes the situation to be worse, that's not helping. I'm sorry, but if you're not going to act like a decent human being and you're gonna misuse what you're doing, then you're gonna get things taken away. Because what happens when you're an adult and you act out? You get things taken away, right? You get your job taken away, you get your car taken away, you go to jail. It's big kid stuff, right? So as a parent, if you're taking away their video game systems, you're selling their consoles, you're selling things that they have earned, that's on them. That's their consequence. If they wanted that back, they have to earn it.
Look, I'm not condemning the parent. I think it's a very good idea, but it's like if I, as a parent, as an adult, and a gamer was thinking like, oof, that's hurtful.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
So yeah, that's exactly the kind of measure to say. Well, you shouldn't be bullying, so because this is what you get.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a perfect way
Or whatever. Yeah.
of doing it, hitting it with the kid with the reality.
Okay, I feel like we're killing time here, so I'll just say my closing statement and we can just close up.
Understood.
So that being said, please keep in reference the sites that I and Stat have mentioned. Keep in mind that despite how heavy this subject was and how long it went, we're sorry. But it is, bullying. We didn't even touch on all the subjects that we probably should have touched on.
Well, to be honest with you, the timing schedule is just a formality. It's not like we're going to get punished by going over. I worry more about your convenience and Alderon's convenience and Hergon's convenience. But as for
no,
me,
and I agree because I got to get back to my kids, and we're going to be painting pumpkins today and decorating the house for Halloween, so all kinds of things.
Don't bully the pumpkins.
I want the pictures of the pumpkins.
I'll send the pictures of. I already sent pictures of the pumpkins.
Yeah, she.
Oh, the ones that we paint.
Oh,
the ones that.
I gotta check that out.
Which, by the way, don't carve pumpkins at the beginning of the month because they just mold. right now. They're molded.
Okay.
They're it's bad. Um, but regardless, that being said, is that we didn't even. I'm mentioning that we didn't even get to touch on everything, not because of time constraint, but look, that's how big the subject is. That's how big bullying is. It's because there's such. Do the research, for one.
Yes.
Do the Google research, talk to your peers, talk to your counselors, talk to your therapists, talk to police enforcement, talk to anyone if you want more information on how to prevent, how to see, how to, handle these situations. A lot of this, how to prevent bullying, it comes from self-confidence. If you don't have the self-confidence to stand up for yourself, then you're gonna be a victim of bullying because you don't have the confidence to fight. So, oh, hold on.
Also,
Giddy. She just had the popcorn. So that being said, do your research and keep in mind that this too shall pass. It is not the end of the world.
It shall
It's
not
something that I've lived
pass.
by. No, stat. This is something that my mother have taught me for years, and it's what's kept me going. Is that I know that what got me out of a lot of bad situations is that I view myself as the arrow and life is just the bow, right? So sometimes you have to be pulled back into the deepest, darkest parts of the world only to be shot forward into a better, brighter future. So, granted, it's cheesy, but it is what it is. That's how you kind of have to view things. So, I hope that helps for whoever's listening. And Stat, go ahead with your beautiful outro.
Aw, she said my outro is beautiful.
Okay.
Anyways, well, this is where we're going to end the podcast for today. I hope it really helps you viewers that have watched the live stream, and I hope it'll help future people who watch it later on in the playlist when I add it. Anyways, everybody, say goodbye to the viewers.
nighty night,
Bye.
folks.
Tell them you love them.
No.
Lil?
No.
They got earned.
give them a hug.
Over the phone might be a little bit difficult.
Okay. Well, with that said, my name is Statton. Like, share, and subscribe. Remember that you are not alone, and you have yourselves a